guys, happy Wednesday. It is episode 16. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. Oh, I don't know. I think it's episode 16. I'll double check. But we're going to start quickly with my interview with Leilua from Mississippi State, and then from OKC professionally. And she was also an assistant coach at UT Arlington, which is where I kind of ran into her again. She was there at convention because she's now also working with Warstick, which is so exciting. And she just had her baby. So we were waiting for that to release this episode because it's so cool to watch her talk about this next chapter in her life. So listen in and then we'll recap afterwards. We have a couple things to share as well. But just so thankful that we had a chance to talk to her and hear her story.
Okay, I'm here at NFCA convention. We are in the exhibit hall. So if you guys hear loudness in the background, that's why, because there's a ton of people in here right now. With Leilua, one of the best to play at Mississippi State. How long ago did you graduate now? I didn't mean to age you.
Oh, no, you're fine. I want to say four years now.
Yeah.
4 years out the game now.
And you stayed on 1 year to help?
I stayed 3 years because COVID hit.
That's right.
So, yeah.
We don't count that year.
Yeah, we don't count that year.
It's PTSD.
Yeah.
It's very triggering.
Yeah, although it's so funny. Because the COVID year was such a hard time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was hard for me just because in that sense, of course, I think the common culture behind COVID was like taking the game away, and you never know when the last, day was going to be, or whatever the case may be, that type of theme. And I think because after my dad passed, I was well prepped in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So when COVID came, I'm like, well, that gives me another year to prep again, to get better, heal my body, and then get back right. And
that's such a good perspective.
Yeah. And I think for me, it was kind of just like, a break. So, but honestly, I mean, it sucked, but also it was just a huge perspective eye-opener, a time for me to heal from previous grief. So I think that was a huge thing that I tried to shift as far as the PTSD part of COVID.
Yeah. No, that's it. I mean, it's so hard for people to sometimes see beyond the immediate.
Right.
And realize, like, in the grand scheme of things, it's 1 year, and it happened kind of quick into season.
Yeah.
It was already like a month in.
That's when everyone was like traveling to their first game.
Conference. And it was like, you get to restart. Mm-hmm. If you started crappy this season, and you get to try again. Let's do this over again. Not to take away from, the people that really struggled, the seniors that were getting ready to graduate. Like, if they were like me, where I got married right after I graduated.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? Like, I had to push my wedding back.
Whew.
Or I just was said, sorry, sweetheart, we got to wait. Oh my gosh.
I can't.
Okay, so 3 years as an assistant coach. What made you want to stay on and do that at Mississippi State?
So as an assistant coach, I was actually, 3 years played, and then from there I actually went home, back to Cali, finished my master's, and then shortly after I started my business called Fall Swings.
Yep.
And then I was working with a nonprofit organization, USA Athletics, with Mike and Rose Rogers. I was managing player development for that organization, and then on top of that, being an assistant with Long Beach City College.
Okay.
So all three, very juggling a lot of things.
So it's not a year off by any means.
No.
Okay.
But I would say that it definitely helped me become very well-rounded and grounded, and kind of just understanding where softball was at the time that I started with travel ball players.
Yeah.
Especially with the business that I was in. And so that was, honestly, it was cool. I loved it a lot. I definitely got burnt out at some point because I think I was like giving myself like probably one day out of the month off.
Yeah.
Because I was just grinding. But also I saw a lot of success in that because I did see a lot of my passion that I had for hitting pay off as far as, just seeing the younger girls clicking and understanding that concept of their own swing, finding their strengths and weaknesses, identifying their who they are as a
What
player.
makes them different.
Correct.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot on the podcast. Is like when you're looking at players that you want to recruit or that you're trying to develop, it's really emphasizing it's not what you do the same, it's how you set yourself
Exactly.
apart. When you're working with the younger generation, what are like some of the biggest things that you see that are different from like when you felt like you came up through all the programs?
Great question. I want to say like the recruiting process has been
It's
different.
So different. Yeah.
Different. NIL deals. Gosh,
I know.
I literally was like, anytime I see somebody with an NIL deal, it's a bittersweet. But I do want to say it's a rewarding thing because we previous players who've already graduated my age, I think it's rewarding to see the younger players finally getting what they deserve.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's an interesting thing, and I think like all things, there are a lot of hiccups and some obstacles that we still need to overcome as far as that aspect of NIL deals.
The dynamic a little
Correct.
bit. Yep.
Especially with recruiting. So after doing a year of those three things, I went pro with the Vipers, which was like my rookie year, both Jossie and I's rookie year, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, that's when I got reached out for the UTA position, and then that's when I moved there. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
and that's how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah.
So you were an assistant coach for 2 years.
2 years.
Two full seasons. Now you are getting ready to welcome your first baby.
Yes. So it really unexpectedly, but a blessing, of course. How I even knew that I was pregnant. I was actually going through post-op for open heart surgery.
Okay.
And so it was like a rare. We found it early April of this year, 2024, and it was it's called a right coronary artery deficiency.
Okay.
Very rare condition, hence why it doesn't even have a name for it.
Yeah.
But I was lucky enough to be a part of research group, a part of UT Southwestern Hospital, and we figured it out. And honestly, by the time I got to the cardiologist, he said basically it's a miracle that I even lived this long with this
without it ever like affecting you or
Correct.
putting you down. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and if I didn't stop before going into this last season, I probably would have had a heart attack during season. So
is that wild to think about, like all the moments throughout like your career where it's been like high stakes, high energy, like blood's pumping, adrenaline,
the training, the off-season training, all of it, yeah.
And it never. See, that's God. That's a God move right there.
Exactly. And so we're going through post-op, and we're going through the final test, and all of a sudden, doctor comes in. He's like, "Hey, so cannot continue, unfortunately, but you are of child." I was like,
"You are with child."
Yeah. And I was like, okay, hold on. Wheels turn. Everything kind of really shifted, and from there on, we have been just on high monitor, and but I'm with like the best care in Texas, which is great.
Yeah.
And but I am now 8 months, 33 weeks. We are thriving, growing, and just back aching, all the things.
Wobbling a little
exactly.
bit. And like I understand the transition of like as an athlete, your mindset shifting from like practicing and keeping your body in like tip-top shape and like going through all this stuff, and then now you're like, okay, now I have to dedicate that energy to like growing this baby.
Yeah.
Like you're glowing, obviously, but like how has that mind shift?
Oh my God, it was hard.
Yeah.
Hard because I've been so competitive like probably since I started this sport.
Yeah.
So I was 10 years old, and I'm 27. So I've been competitive
most
for
of your
life. For a very long time.
Yeah.
And to be in that soft girl era, some would say, it's definitely been eye-opening, and I love it. I honestly love it. It's great. Very different as far as being aware, because as athletes, we are always like I'll be fine. It's a sprained ankle, whatever. Put some ice on it, you know?
Walk
Or,
up.
like, oh, I have sciatic pain. We'll be fine. We'll just stem it up or whatever, you know? But now it's like, no, listen to your body now.
Yeah.
Like, listen to what you need. If you need to rest, rest.
Yeah.
You're literally growing organs. So,
Next to your other organs.
right, exactly. So anytime, like, it's so funny because anytime my boyfriend comes home, he's like, oh man, I'm so tired, and I'm like, did you grow any organs today? No.
What did your useless body do today?
We kind of, it's funny though, but I enjoy it. I've been enjoying my pregnancy so far, and it's definitely been a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And I think that's
not just about like what's gonna happen, but like
right.
about yourself.
Yeah.
I feel
honestly,
like it's just like this whole different, like, I didn't know I could do that. And I didn't know I was going to feel this way.
Exactly.
And you don't even have him yet.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
like, you're just going to be weeping.
Exactly.
Like, all the time. You're just going to be like, why am I crying? I don't know, but he's so beautiful.
Right,
like,
right.
I feel like every time I had a kid, when I held them, I was like, let's have another one.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so... And I never saw myself as like a mom, maternal, nothing.
I could see myself, but I wasn't sure when that would be, you know?
It wasn't like part of your plan.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So
same. So I'm excited for you because I feel like it's like now, because you're so competitive, that's going to be poured into like being the best mom that you can be.
Yeah.
And
I'm so excited for that.
It's so fun.
Yeah. And being a boy mom at that now, so it's definitely, I'm not surprised that I was going to have a boy, but to then shift that mindset of, okay, wheel it back down. It's mom. Like now I'm like in full mom zone where it's like, if there's anything going on as far as I think in a sense, I want to say it's thinking about being a coach almost. When you're a pro player, there's a lot of selfish thoughts as far as like you're worried about you, what you can do to contribute. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you're a coach, shifts.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about the girls. What's best for the girls. And so same thing with mom, shift. It's not about you and your partner.
Yeah.
You know, it's about what can you and your partner do to make a perfect or somewhat the best life that your child can live.
Grow.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's crazy too because it's like that selflessness. It's so not normal for us.
Yes. Yeah.
Just as like it's just not something that like natural, and you're gonna like I'm sure you've had moments in your career where you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
And like blew yourself away and like surprised yourself. That's gonna happen when you have this kid.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be like, number one, I did that.
Yeah.
Like I made that little human, right?
Yeah.
But then also it's gonna be like, I never thought I could love something that much, but also just like rise to that occasion.
Exactly.
That's so
exactly. Cool. I think motherhood is cool already to me. So I appreciate. I go back to my mom like sorry that
you were right about everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a tough combo.
Yeah. And then to have the I told you so.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah.
So outlook moving forward. Now you've got this new life to be excited about. Where do you see yourself in the world of softball? Obviously you're working now with Warstick, but what else do you see in your future?
I am now going to working with Warstick as a marketing specialist, revamping a lot of our softball
specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we're kind of just doing all of that, which is really exciting. I'm excited about what we have in store as far as product wise and what I want to do as far as grow the game
from this new angle.
Yeah, from this new angle. And from girls that look like me, that look like us, and kind of just really give them that confidence, that the Beyonce of just confidence in that aspect. So I'm really excited. My plan, we don't know. I still have to have heart surgery 6 months after.
Okay.
So 6 months after birth. And so depending on how I feel, how I'm doing, and what I'm required to do as far as what I'm allowed to do.
Right.
That all just depends.
It's a big question
There's so many, I mean, and there's so many opportunities out there already that's been offered. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do it, but I can't right now. You're going to have to give me another year.
Yeah.
And so that's been difficult, but honestly, I think it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's a message from the universe saying, slow down.
Yeah.
You have a lot of time. You're
It'll
still
all
young.
still be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you come back, it'll be in perfect shape by the time it'll
Right.
be where it needs to be when you come back.
Or you'll have even better of an idea of like which one you want to do.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
like you'll have your baby, you'll have your health.
Hopefully things are going to be established by then.
Yeah.
Pro league wise.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay, I'm already knowing.
No, but that's awesome. We're really excited to see you. And if you could give advice to those that are, I would say from the college transition out of college, getting ready to graduate, getting ready to move, what kind of advice would you give young women as they're kind of moving into this new phase of life? Whether they're sticking with softball or they're not,
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say do not be afraid of change. Change is good. You're still young. And if you have motives to do things, do it. Don't be afraid. Of course, we already play a sport that, it's a sport of failure. Instead of looking at it as a sport of failure, look at it as a different point of view, as an opportunity. I guess a sport of opportunities instead of failures. I would say, do it. There's nothing for you to lose. As long as you get your education, I would say do that, and why not? I mean, I've done all the things that I've wanted to do, and now I've unexpectedly took a turn, but I'm still happy with it because at the end of the day, I'm young and I'm still able to do things, and there's other opportunities still, and I have women like Kehlani Ricketts to look up to still. I mean, she's a freaking badass.
Carrying the toddler around with you.
No, literally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have that to look forward to. And
how different is that now than it was even 5 years ago? It was like you never saw coaches or players with kids.
Yeah.
I mean, even Thule.
Yeah, Thule.
With her baby. And I don't know. It's so cool to see that piece changing because, like, for a little bit older, I'm not going to age myself in D, but when we had kids, it was like unheard of. When I was coaching, it was not like, it's not frowned upon. It's just, you have to decide, are you going to be a good mom or are you going to be a good coach?
Right.
And for you guys, are you going to be a good mom or are you going to be a good player?
Right.
And so to see that piece shifting, I think is so exciting because we deserve that.
Yeah.
As women, as female athletes, like the coolest thing we can do is like grow humans.
Yeah.
So like, why should we have to choose between that and then what we've been able to do?
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
But yeah, super excited to see, obviously, little baby boy and all the things coming your way. And we wish you all the best health-wise.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
But thanks for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you for bringing me on. This has been fun.
Okay.
I don't think at times there's anything more inspiring than getting to hear female athletes talk about pregnancy and when they have the ability to come back and learning about their bodies. It's pretty incredible when you think about it, and getting to kind of listen in on that interview. I mean, I remember watching her play at Mississippi State and just the impact she had on the field, but now getting to do it as a mom and coach, you almost get to intertwine what you've learned in the game as an athlete, and then you get to bring in this different perspective as a mom. And I feel so very fortunate that, I got to experience a lot in the mom department at maybe an age that I was not expecting. I had Maddie back in 2013, and I was actually over in Japan when I found out that I was pregnant. I was playing overseas. I had a New Year's Eve wedding planned for 2013, and we had just got engaged. And when the opportunity came for me to go back over to Japan, I for sure did it. And I got over there and felt super sick, like jet lag, not feeling like myself. You know, sometimes you think maybe I should take a pregnancy test. I'm a woman. There's certain things I'm feeling. And I vividly remember I lived in my own apartment there. I was over there, Jenny Topping, who played at Washington and finished up at Cal State Fullerton. Or maybe vice versa. Started somewhere else and finished up at Washington. But I went to the store, got a pregnancy test, was back in my apartment, did the whole pee on the stick thing, was putting my groceries away. But to me, I wasn't thinking anything of it. It was more just to rule it out. Like, what's wrong? Why am I so tired? Am I sick? Is there something going on? And when I went back to check that pregnancy test, Japanese pregnancy test to boot, it was obviously positive. And I remember these 3 birds, because Bob Marley, 3 Little Birds, was playing in the background. And I just remember like feeling like, I don't know, I just felt like I was letting everyone down in that moment. I was isolated by myself in Japan. I had a new partner there, in Jenny Topping. We weren't close. I mean, I was close with my translator, but majority of my Japanese teammates, like, they don't speak English. So I just felt like super alone over there. And I'm like, dang, I gotta let people know. What am I gonna do? That shit was scary. So I actually called my translator, told her to come over, said I need to go to the doctor. She took me to the doctor. Just so happens, was pregnant. And it's funny, my grandma actually flew over to be with me. My husband, or fiance at the time, had just started a new job. So for him to make his way over to Japan with everything going on was tough. So I went to the doctor, pregnant, was going to try to ride out the first trimester and continue to keep playing because we were in season and why not? So my grandma came over. She was there for, I think, maybe 2 weeks. And she was going home, took her to the airport, and then I was headed to the airport with my translator, Croaky, and was at the airport, and, you know, kind of personal, but like it literally felt like I peed my pants. I'm like, Croaky, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I went to the bathroom and, you know, not to get into too much detail, but like a good amount of blood. And I'm like, oh shit, like I'm for sure having a miscarriage right now. Like I was 23, 24 at the time. Like I didn't know, I had assumed that, but then I was like scared shitless. So I went back out. I said to my translator, I think this is happening. We were getting on a flight, 2.5 hour flight. So just the anxiousness, that whole flight, not knowing what was going on. We were going to go to the doctor as soon as I landed. 2.5 hours later, you know, I keep going to the bathroom. There's still blood. I'm for sure in my mind having a miscarriage. So we land, go to the hotel, drop off our stuff, and then we go straight to the first hospital. Unfortunately, this hospital did not accept women patients. Didn't love that. Next hospital, vividly remember waiting over 2 hours in this long hallway. And this hallway was just eerie. I kept getting up probably every 20 minutes to go to the bathroom, still bleeding. This can't be good. So I go in and finally we get called in. My translator's with me. They put you on this bed with these drapes. And essentially what it does is it lifts your body up and gets you in a position for them to be able to do like an ultrasound. It was pretty early along, so not the one that goes on your stomach. It's the one that's more internal. And it's weird because Japanese doctors don't want to see your face while they're doing all of these things. So I just had these drapes and they're getting after it, fine. Ultrasound up top, you're seeing the picture and you see the sac and the baby, and then you see this other giant sac. So I'm like freaking out, right? Like for sure miscarriage. You know, they get me all settled back and doctor comes in and he said, you know, you have a giant blood clot that is right underneath the baby. And he goes, if it was on top of the baby, you would be having a miscarriage and the pregnancy would be terminated. but because it's underneath and the baby's on top, you're gonna bleed this out and the baby should be okay. Freaking the hell out, because I don't know much about any of this stuff. So I'm like, damn, okay, what are next steps? And he said no flying, because flying makes, it significantly worse, and you have to be on bed rest. And I'm like, I just flew 2.5 hours to come and play in this series, which to boot was against one of my good friends, Kaylee Rafter, who is the catcher for Team Canada. And I'm like, okay, so clearly now I can't play. I'm not gonna wait in this random ass hotel room, can't fly. So we ended up taking the bullet train back. That took us close to 5 hours to get back where we were going. And it just was one of those whirlwind experiences for me. The hardest part was being on bed rest, getting the clearance to be able to go back home. And the hard part was being able to have to sit with the whole team and tell them that this was a situation and I wasn't going to be able to finish out the season. And it was devastating when I look back on it, because they were so upset, and so was I. But at the end of the day, I just felt like there was nothing I can do. I can't apologize anymore. This obviously wasn't planned. It is what it is. I was definitely more scared of my parents' reaction and my husband's parents' reaction than anyone else, but I did feel like I was letting everyone down. That Japanese league was one of the coolest experiences that I ever got to be a part of. The way they treat you, how incredible the league is, the players, the commitment to that grind over there, the money that you're able to make as a foreigner, it's incredible. So I just felt like I was letting people down. Obviously had to let the USSSA Pride, I was a part of that organization, so I had to let them know, pregnant, not going to be able to compete for you guys this summer, but I will come back. And I think, obviously I go on to have Maddie, and my husband and I get married, and I went back to play that following 2014 summer. And it's really interesting because I had put on a good amount of weight throughout that pregnancy, probably close to 60 or 70 pounds. It's a lot. So I didn't realize how challenging it was going to be for me to get back in a position to play again, right? I had Maddie December 16th of 2013, and I was back with the USSSA Pride in May. And it was definitely hard on my body for gaining that much weight, carrying that much weight for a good amount of time. I definitely was not at my playing weight of what I should have been in that 2014 season. Your body changes, your core changes. There's so many different things that I didn't realize I needed to sharpen up. But by the end of the summer, I was in a good position to be able to do okay. I didn't start out how I wanted to, but the lessons learned throughout that process of being able to go back after I had Maddie and then realize that I wanted to hang it up was because I was just at this different phase where I wasn't willing to put in the work. And when you're not willing to put in the work and you have other commitments and kids or different things that you are more in tune with, it's okay if you don't want to play anymore. And I was at peace with that decision. And when I retired after the 2014 season, we won the Coles Cup. I got to pitch in that championship game. I had Maddie. She was this little baby. I just felt like everything was tied together and there was nothing else that I needed, or we'll say wanted to accomplish in the game anymore, right? Olympics weren't instated for 2020. There was so much unknown when it came to that. So obviously I had my next daughter, Audrey, back in 2016. And when they reinstated that Olympic Games, it just felt like something was calling me to do it. Whether it was hearing Michelle Smith talk about when she was at her best, mid-30s, or unfinished business, or wanting to leave a different taste of the type of maybe player teammate that I had left on Canada, I wanted to leave a different taste. I wanted to be better for our country. And that was for sure. I look back on it, I'm so grateful that I did it. But those were some of the hardest years of my life, trying to balance motherhood, number one, being a wife, having one of the most incredible jobs that I love. And for, some reason I pinch myself every year with how grateful I am to do it, because I love it that much. So I want to be great at it. I try to be great at it. So when I was trying to balance all of those things, I was, sometimes things get left on the back burner. But the one thing that I learned throughout that whole process is that if I commit to do something, when it comes to that piece, I will be the most selfless person, teammate that I can be, because I've learned from the 2014 season my body and what I needed to do to put it in a position to be successful, and I didn't do that. So I knew there was things I had to do different. I knew the selflessness I needed to be able to sharpen. I knew how hard I needed to work, and I was so excited for that challenge. I really was. So being able to be a mom and go back and compete at the highest level against some of the most well-respected athletes in the entire world. A lot of them are actually competing in that AU and AUSL. I played with Team USA, and some played with Team Mexico, and some with Italy. Getting the opportunity to play against them and be a part of history for our country was so rewarding. And when I stepped off that plane after being away for 73 days straight, which was one of the most insane decisions ever, getting to hug my kids and realize how fortunate I was for the support system back at home, and the things and lessons that I learned throughout was invaluable. There was things that I learned that I can do. I can do hard shit. I can push my body. I can be pulled in all these different directions, but still make sure I'm dialed for the task at hand. And so when I finished, there was just this moment of being so damn proud that I could do that and I could accomplish that. And the people that were in my corner and the friends that I competed with on the national stage, again, Olympic stage, are some of my bestest friends. I think of Kaylee Rafter. I think of Jen Sowling. Jen and I were a part of the national championship team together. Kaylee Rafter and I were, 2008 Olympics, grinded together. So with that being said, moms, we do a lot. We go through a lot. We grind. We always figure that shit out. And that's what makes motherhood so freaking cool. You always find a way. If you want something bad enough, you will find a way. And that is what I've learned, every single year of being able to kind of see my kids grow and develop. And mom's not putting herself on the back burner. I'm still putting myself in a position to feel fit, to feel strong, to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, but also set the record straight and let them see me do hard things too. If mom can do it, you can do it. And being an example to them is the end all be all. That's what makes me tick. So, it was really cool to kind of listen in on that interview and the opportunities that we get to speak to fellow moms or new moms. I just think it really kind of opens people's eyes to, we can do hard things, and it only makes us bigger badasses. So with that being said, thanks again, guys, listening in. This podcast has been so much fun to just share just whatever it is that's on our mind. Even with this busy lifestyle of Alex and I, we're finding ways to make this work, and we could not be more happy doing this together. So with that being said, hope you guys have a great week, and follow Rise and Grind podcast. Let's go.
Hey again. So like I said, it was just really great to talk to Fa. I'm so proud of her, so excited for her as a new mom. My sort of take on the transition into motherhood, I got pregnant less than 3 months after I graduated as a senior. And so that was a really crazy experience, because that next season, so I graduated in 2012. The 2013 season, I went to watch Hawaii play at University of Pacific, and I was 9 months pregnant. I was ready to pop. So it's just crazy that, you know, that quickly life can shift and change, and your entire like plans and whatever it is that you thought was going to happen might not happen the way you thought it was going to. Not a bad thing, just was totally different than what I was expecting after I graduated. So all happened super quickly. And then obviously I was doing my job and coaching high school for a while. And then after I got so I went back and got my master's degree, and I was pregnant with my third, Theodore, and I graduated and walked in that graduation ceremony like 9 months pregnant again. So it's like, I feel like all of my big like life milestones happen when I'm pregnant. But a couple months after I graduated with my master's degree, I got the job offer to go be the head coach at the Academy of Art University, which is a D2 in San Francisco. Compared to where I was living, which was in like Solano County, the commute into the city is about an hour. And TJ was about a month, he's probably 6 to 8 weeks at the time when I got the job. So I immediately basically had to start doing that commute. So I was leaving super early in the morning, like 5. I guess that's not super early for some people. That's super early for me. Leaving at 5, going to the ferry, riding the ferry into the city, then hopping on the bus or walking or Ubering from the ferry station over to where my office was, and then going to weights. And then we would hop on a bus from there and we'd go to the field, which was in Brisbane, which is even further south in San Francisco, and with traffic and all of that. And we'd be at the field from usually about 9 till noon. We'd come back to the office. I'd stay there for about an hour, and then I'd hop back on the ferry, get back into the area, drive back to Solano County, pick up the kids. We'd go to the gym and all that good stuff. So it was like I was gone in the morning, so Mike would take care of the morning routine, and then I'd get home earlier. So then I would do the evening routine, and then there was a point in time where we were flip-flopping. So Mike was commuting in the afternoons to San Francisco, or he was staying there late. It was just a real grind. For those of you who are moms and who know, number one, it's hard to work full-time with kids anyways. The logistics of having everybody's backpacks ready, lunches packed, all ready to go for Mike in the mornings. I used to do Penelope's hair, and then I'd put a bandana on it at night so that in the morning he wouldn't have to do her hair. We came up with some pretty crazy ways to like make it work. And also pumping. So I was nursing Theodore, so I would have to pump like on the ferry or in my office or at the field in the supply closet. And then you have to carry the milk around, like keep it cold. Like when I think back to like the amount of logistics that it took, it just is like, it totally like aligns with what Dee said about, you know, you can do hard shit. Like you're already going through such a transition as a mom to like, your body changes, your attitude towards life changes, like everything changes. And then on top of that, you're also trying to still be a badass and like follow your dreams. Coaching is my dream job. Like I loved coaching. I was in way over my head as a head coach, which I had never done before, especially like at a D2. So that was tough in and of itself. And then on top of that, you have the guilt of like leaving the kids at daycare all day. And then, you know, when you're in season, it's even worse. Like I was gone every weekend for games, and the travel schedule for Academy of Art was really, really brutal because there's 3 schools in Hawaii that they play, and they play them all in one trip. So you're gone for 10 to 12 days to hit all 3 of those schools without playing every single day of the trip. So it was a real big learning experience for me. I'm so glad that I did it, obviously, but like, it's still like, when you think back, I'm just like, gosh, we were in such a grind at the time. And then less than a year after that, I got the job at UC Davis, which was 15-20 minutes from my house. I was an assistant coach instead of the head coach, which was such a nice transition for me because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn and figure out how I could be a better coach. I didn't have experience when I got to Academy of Art other than coaching our high school team. So it was so much different than at like the collegiate level. And I feel like Erin was the perfect person for me to learn from, and Amy was like my perfect counterpart. She was the other assistant coach that did pitching. we just gelled so well, and it was just easy for me to just like fit right in with their groove, and like they understood where I was as like a mom and like where my priorities were. And you still have that guilt, but the fact that I was so close to home, so I could do the morning drop off, I could do the afternoon pickup, it just made life so much easier. It's still a grind, because not even a year after that, I got pregnant with Charlie. So then I had a newborn again, and then COVID hit. Well, I got pregnant, then COVID hit, then I had a newborn. That was the order. So what was crazy about that, I've talked about this before, is we left mid-season in March 2020. I had just found out I was pregnant with Charlie and just told like the other coaches. And then we all leave to like go quarantine. I'm getting bigger, more pregnant, not seeing anybody. And then in September, when we came back, I had a baby in my arms. It was crazy. So we go through the whole fall season doing like distance practices, like small groups. It was pretty crazy. Spring comes around, and being in the Big West means that all of our games, all of our opponents were basically in California, other than Hawaii, which was great because our trips were shorter, but because of COVID, we had to drive everywhere. So instead of taking like short, like hour and a half flights, we were driving the 8 hours in a big old bus with the team. But it was so fun because Charlie got to travel with us everywhere. So like when we go play Long Beach, we didn't go play Long Beach. We went and played Fullerton. We went and played Northridge. We went to a tournament in San Diego. So she got to travel with us for all of that. And my family would then go meet us wherever we were playing and watch her for me, or like spend time with her. And so it was really cool because the team got to experience Charlie and like see me as a coach, but also see me in my element as a mom. And at the time, I felt like I know this sounds kind of crazy. It made me feel like I was worried they were going to see me as weaker, because who I am as a mom is not who I am as a coach. Like it's like a different persona, if that makes sense. And so I was so worried that they were going to see me in my element with Charlie as a mom, like loving on her and just being like that soft person that I am. Well, I'm not always soft. I would say just a different person with my kids. And that would take away from how they had held, like how they saw me as a coach. But all it did was strengthen that. They saw how protective I was of her. They saw like that fun side of me a little bit. Like I goof off with her, like play with her, like, you know, you change your voice when you're talking to your baby. So it actually ended up making us so much stronger. Like my relationship with each of the players was so much stronger. And then even like Aaron and Amy, like they got to hang out with Charlie, like they got to spend time with her, and they were it was just, I'm so thankful for that experience, because I know that's not what happens with everybody. Like there were definitely still some really hard times, like traveling and having to figure out like where you're going to pump and where you're going to nurse, and all of that is very, very difficult. People do not make it easy. It's way easier than it used to be, but it's still difficult. I can't even tell you the places where I've pumped or nursed my kids. Like I said, storage sheds, bathrooms, which you're not supposed to do, but sometimes that's your only option, because you need a plug. If the baby's not with you, you have to have a plug. You don't have to have a plug. You can have batteries, but like, it's complicated. Again, it's a lot of logistics, and I think that people are getting better about supporting moms in these working roles, but I think we can still do better. What I love about Fa's interview is like, she's just totally embraced this feminine side of like being a mom. And it's so easy for people to say that women can be weaker because they have emotions, and, you know, they aren't as keen on leaving the kid, like whatever it is that they might say. But like when you put a mother in front of an obstacle, like you have to understand, like there is nothing we won't do to get through that obstacle. And what I love about my job at UC Davis, and even my job now, is my employers and my coworkers did not see me being a mom as a weakness. They saw it as the strength that it is. And I love that. I embrace that. I would look at somebody who's a mom and I would understand, like, that person would do anything to get this job done because they have to do anything to get the job done at home. And it carries over, it really does. So to know that Fa's now part of this cool club of like moms in the softball world and like making it happen, it's so exciting. And like, I know I still want to talk to like Kaylani Ricketts. She's got her daughter that she's been like hanging around with, and now they just announced that she's going to be in the AUSL as well. So it's like, all this is doing is showing more players that like, you can have it all. You can work and have your dream, and you can have the family that you're dreaming of too. And you can do it all. You really can. It's so hard. I told my UC Davis players when I resigned we moved. I told them, I said, if there's one thing that you learned from me being in your life and coaching you and walking, it's not the skills, it's not that, it's that I hope you know you can have it all. I hope you see what I've tried to balance here and know that you can have it all. You can do both, and you can do it well. And I just hope that that's encouraging to people who might be wondering like, what's next? What's going to happen now? I'm about to have a kid, or I got this dream job and I have kids. I just hope, as women and as moms and as athletes, and I just hope you understand that like, you can do it all. You have a good support system, you get a good system in place, you grind it out, and it will come to fruition. You can make it happen. So I hope, again, that was encouraging for some of you. Loved hearing about Danielle's story with Maddie and how she got through that. Fa, congratulations. So excited for baby boy. I want to meet him. We love you guys. We appreciate you listening in, and we hope you have a good rest of your week. Bye.